Hey guys, what's up? Jesse La Flair here with La Flair Parkour. Today we're doing a tutorial on the PK roll, also known as the parkour roll, the shoulder roll, the safety roll, the break fall, the martial arts roll, kinda. A lot of different names for one move, and the reason that is because so many people use this, because it is one of, if not the most important move that you should learn when starting and getting better and better at parkour. There's advanced roll techniques, there's also beginner roll techniques. I'm gonna try to cover all of that throughout this tutorial, so watch the whole thing, bear with me, and pay attention because it really is one of the most important moves that you should have in your vocabulary of movement. All right, let's get started. Whew. Okay, so the shoulder roll. Now a lot of people have been requesting this move because it is kind of difficult, and it's not that it's the most dangerous thing in the world, but if you've ever tried it on a harder surface and you're just starting out, you're gonna realize that there's some impact points, especially for you skinny guys out there like me, who are bony, the bones stick out all over your hips, everything. So I'm gonna try to cover a lot of the details on how to do this right, but let's first start on something softer. Grass is a great option. It absorbs, it doesn't kill you if you do it wrong, and so I would advise definitely starting on something soft. All right, let's get started. First rule, okay? You can't go over your back full spine. There's something called a gymnastics roll where they go straight over and they put their head right between their hands like this. You do that, you're gonna hurt your spine. It's not meant for cement. It's not meant for parkour. It's a gymnastics roll. It's meant to be done inside on the spring floor, the mats, all that stuff. So what we do is we're actually gonna create a line that goes slightly diagonal, coming from the back of our shoulder, across our spine, and then out on our other opposite hip, okay? But one of the most important things I think I've learned recently is that it's not this crazy angle. You're not coming like a barrel roll, and this is one of the most common mistakes when people try it. They go all the way over and almost do a barrel roll that way. We're not trying to go fully across our back, because that's what's gonna take you out on your hip and really kick your butt, all right? So the shoulder roll is essentially like a forward roll, but with a slight diagonal, starting at the back point of the shoulder. Okay, so the roll itself, we're gonna talk about tightening of the body, because it really is one of the most important things, and I think through teaching at the Tempest Freerunning Academy and Monarchs Gymnastics up in Agora Hills, I've realized that when I try to teach a roll to most people, they don't understand that the body needs to be tight and arced. It has to be curved, you know. So usually what happens is people go into their roll and then their legs flop down and they become like dead fish and bam, slam on the ground, okay? So I'll show you an example of what that looks like. They start the roll and then they open up. So here, boom, and everything stops, all right? So what we need to understand is that when we go into our roll, we have to have our spine curved, all right? Everything stays tight, our legs stay in, and we continue the movement out. If I'm back here, you can see the movement here. Boom, it continues. And it's because I'm super tight. Now, I'll do that same movement, but a little bit more open, and you'll see how much slower everything is. It doesn't work the same. You're here. It just slows everything down. Tight body, okay? We want to create a ball. I mean, we're rolling. You don't roll a block, right? Clank, clank, clank. It has to be a ball. So make sure that when you do it, you're trying to stay arced, hollow belly in, and roll. Transfer that momentum smoothly, all right? Cool. What I'd like to do is start with the Ryan Doyle format, which I really like, and it's very easy for people to understand. What you're gonna do is put your right foot out, put your right hand in if that's the way you want to do it, otherwise left foot out, left hand in, elbow on the inside of the knee. You're going to take it back, you're going to dip your head through your arm using your left hand to brace and roll straight over. So there's three major problem areas. One is the shoulder, the other one is your spine, and the next one is your hip. Let's start with the shoulder. The main reason why this becomes a problem for people is because they try to do the roll and they put themselves right on top of their shoulder. When we start the roll, we actually got to start on the back We're starting on our back, not our shoulder, okay? So watch one of these. Come on down to the back of my shoulder. All right? Okay, so there's a lot of different arm variations of how to get into the roll. You know, I talked about Ryan Doyle here. Tucks his hand in, does that. That's how you start off teaching it, right? Some people do the diamond effect, where they go, if you're rolling on your right shoulder, it goes under the left shoulder, and you drop this arm and continue over, okay? There's that, or there's the swing through. Thread the needle in, oof, come through here, tucking your head, and you're rolling over, okay? The thing about it is, my personal opinion is that depending on the movement, depending on the roll, depending on if you're jumping off of a ledge, depending on if you're coming out of a vault and you're tripping or something, each one of those has its own sort of time to be used, okay? So if you're learning, sure, start with the Ryan Doyle thing. Then if you want to thread the needle, that's more of a low impact thing. The diamond, a lot of people use that for high impact because they're bracing the ground as it comes towards them and then going in. I use something quite often, which is more of like an arm brace. So I'm actually using the power and strength of my arm to roll all the way up while absorbing the ground coming at me here. So it's like this, here. Okay? So there's lots of ways to do it. And I think my main point here is really to tell you that just play with it. If you're on a soft surface, don't ever feel like you're doing it wrong. Just play with it until it feels right. Play with different ways of getting into it, okay? So what I would do is actually start practicing this from a still position. I would not have you start on your knees. A lot of the guys have like one knee down. Try not to do that because it's really never going to come into play. You go in a squat position, balls your feet, and start the movement that way. If you're doing the Ryan Doyle thing, that's fine. Stay on the ball of your feet in the back, all right? But really, after we master it, we're playing with it, we get comfortable with it on the ground, we got to understand that this roll is never really going to be used from sitting still. So we have to start practicing it, moving into it. And the real way to do that is to understand that our rolls never go under us. They actually go in front of us. We're moving across the floor, all right? So to practice this and make it make sense for you, I don't want you just to start still and do it. You're actually going to take a step in and go across. Again, if you're using an arm movement, your arms are stretching out in front of you. There's a gap between your feet and your hands because we need to pull all of that momentum and absorb it in a forward way, like this. Okay, so the next thing for us to really understand in terms of rolls is more of an advanced technique, but really why do we roll? It's to transfer our momentum, right? So if you were to jump off of anything, even if it's like 2 feet high, it's a bench, or you go to the top of the bench, or you go to a ledge or a tree or anything, you need to understand why we're rolling. And it's really, again, to transfer all of our downward force that's going to impact our body and hurt our knees and ankles and all of that stuff, and transfer it into forward momentum. So instead of jumping off of something straight down, you know, say you have a 15-foot ledge. Most people's brains tell them, okay, I gotta get down, I gotta be safe. They'll squat and they'll drop straight down, pop, which is bad. It's gonna impact everything. There's no way out of it. Even if you come straight down and try to roll, there's no momentum changing because it's boom, boom. You're creating a big angle there. It's just not gonna work. So what we need to do, if this is the ledge, we actually have to run as much speed as we get. If there's no speed or no place to run, we jump. You create the biggest arc out that you can get. Boof. That when you hit the ground, boom, you're landing. So it's more like that as opposed to that. So let's talk a little bit more advanced technique, jumping off of something into our roll. So at a height of 2-3 feet, it doesn't necessarily make full sense to roll, right? Because there's not that much impact happening. So what I like to do is called a hand slap. So I'll come down, still land forward, hand slap, continue over. Important things to know about that is that when I'm doing this, my body is actually landing in front of my feet. It's like all my momentum wants to continue forward. I'm not gonna land back, drop, absorb, and hand slap. It's all about continuing on, right? Now, if we move up to something a little bit higher, like the top of that bench. Once you get to a point of like 4 feet, 5 feet, you're getting to a spot where I think rolling is becoming important. It's way too much energy. There's a lot of pounds, a lot of force that's going straight into your major joints, and really at this point you should be conditioning, getting your legs stronger. But most people that are starting this, you know, I'm watching videos on YouTube, you guys are flipping off of sheds and stuff, and it's just, you're not ready and your body isn't conditioned, and you're gonna end up hurting yourself pretty bad. So to at least know how to roll properly would be one step in the right direction. So let's continue on. So if you're up top of this bench and you're gonna jump off, again, we're actually gonna jump off and out, driving ourselves out away from it, so that when we land, we're gonna land in front or equal with our ankles and our feet, the balls of our feet, and continue forward. Now when I jump forward, I'm gonna recoil. I'm not absorbing and going, trying to roll right here. I'm actually rolling as far out as I can go because I'm trying to create a longer arc. All right? So let's take a look at one of those. So again, what I'm going to do one more time, start from the top. I'm going to shoot out as hard as I can. I'm going to land with my weight in front of my feet, landing on the balls of my feet, go out further into my roll, the back of my shoulder slightly across the angle, staying nice and tight, and then driving my hands in front of me at the end to continue my momentum forward. Never want to throw our hands back because it stops us instantly. Okay, so we're going to continue forward and go out. All right, that's it. Let's do it. So that's all I got for you today. The roll takes a lot of practice. Just don't get discouraged. Continue to train it, practice it, practice it, practice it. This move will last throughout your whole parkour movement. It is, again, one of the most important moves that you must understand. So train it, train it, train it. Again, I'm going to put 2 links in the description, one for Ryan Doyle's roll tutorial, and the other one for Levi Muhlenberg's advanced roll tutorial. Both of those helped me tremendously, and hopefully if this didn't help you, those will. Alright, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, share, like, do all that stuff. Check you later. La Flair Parkour. Bye guys.